Next, let us look at B.F. Skinner's operant conditioning theory. So this operant conditioning theory is actually a theory of development which includes the development of languages as well. This is a fairly simple theory which I can explain using an example. There is a mother who feeds her child every day, and every time she is feeding her child, she says things like "Duddu piyega, mera bete ko duddu chahiye, duddu piyega." So she keeps repeating this word duddu in her normal talk. At this age, the child is learning to say things, he is mimicking some sounds that he is hearing. So he says things like ba, woo, and he also learns to say duddu. So once when he says duddu, his mother says, "Oh, mere bete ko bhook laga hai, duddu piyega." So she gives him a bottle of milk. The child starts associating that maybe this word duddu and the action of saying this word duddu means a bottle of milk. So the operant here is the word duddu and the action of saying duddu, and the consequence is that he gets a bottle of milk. So if this gets repeated multiple times, then that is reinforcement. So that's how the child starts to learn that this word duddu is associated with milk. And if the child says doggy and he gets a dog toy, so every time he says doggy, if the parents give him a dog toy, right? So he starts associating the word doggy with that particular toy. So that way children learn words, and whenever there is some operant, that is whenever they say some word and it leads to a specific consequence, they start associating this operant with that particular consequence. So the consequence can be a thing, or it can be an experience, or it can be an action. For example, if the child says out and the parents take him out, then he starts associating the word out with going outside. So Skinner says this is how children learn language. That is, they use some words and they realize that these words lead to some consequences, and that's how they start forming this association. And when that gets reinforced, they start learning it better and better. That is, that behavior gets confirmed. And operant is an overt behavior that operates to generate a significant consequence. So here the operant is saying these words and the consequence is the result. And learning is a function of overt change in overt behavior. That is, initially the child would say ba and he says that he sees that nothing happens. He says woo and he says that nothing happens, but he says duddu. Then he gets milk. So he is learning to change his behavior. He realizes that ba and woo don't lead to anything, so there is no point in saying them. I might as well just say duddu because that leads to some consequence. So his behavior is changing because of the consequence. And changes in behavior are the result of positive or negative response to stimuli. That is, if the child is crying and the mother says stop crying and then comes and gives him a beating, so he starts associating the words stop crying with beating. So he realizes that if he hears the word stop crying, then he should immediately stop doing whatever he is doing, because otherwise he'll get a beating, right? So that way he is negatively responding to the stimuli being the words stop crying. And when any response is reinforced positively or negatively, the individual is conditioned. So this is B.F. Skinner's operant conditioning theory.